If you know the words, sing along.
Every week we open wide the virtual stage where ideas spark and wisdom fills the page. From the UK to the land of maple trees, John and Mike bring clarity with ease. We're building meetings, webinars with might, helping you shine, your message taking flight. Whether you're new or you've done this before, Lord Zoom Live will help you do much more. We're building meetings, webinars with might, helping you shine, your message taking flight. Whether you're new or you've done this before, Lord Zoom Live will help you do much more. Thank you for joining us, we're glad you're here. Together we grow, it's loud and clear. On Zoom we connect, we learn, we grow. Welcome my friend, enjoy the show.
Greetings to you. Greetings, salutations, and welcome. This is not deja vu. We're talking today about office hours, town hall meetings. And although they're open, they are not the same as a church meeting. They're not the same as a marketing meeting. Well, that is, of course, if you're not going to make the mistake of thinking that all you do on Zoom is PowerPoint slides, because there's a little bit more to Zoom meetings than that. Hello, I'm John Drinkwater. I am your host for Lord Zoom Live, known by Toastmasters as Lord Zoom, known by Zoomies now as Lord Zoom. I am being assisted by my friend Mike Latta, who's in the background and may pop up now and again when he wants to, because he's got the screen controls. Neither of us are Zoom employees. We are independent Zoom users. We might be a little bit addicted to Zoom, but we are still quite happy to criticize it when it needs improving. So, we have two things today. But you know, I like the rule of three. So I always turn two things into three. Don't worry, I'll have the third item ready before I get past the other two. The first thing we had a problem streaming. We usually stream to 5 to 7 different sources. For some reason, which we can't tell, Zoom is sending the live stream to our restreaming tool, and that tool's never seeing it. So we are streaming directly from Zoom to YouTube, to our one main channel. The nice thing about Zoom is there are lots of different ways to output to social media simultaneously. The bad news is, my experience is when they don't work, it's really difficult to tell why they don't work. You just know they're not working. Whether that's good or bad, I'll leave it for you to decide. But fortunately, at least Zoom has backup ways of getting out. And of course, when you're doing things like town hall meetings, it's important you turn up to the meeting. So having multiple ways to get to my social media is very useful. But of course, the big thing is, what is a town hall meeting? Well, my definition of a town hall meeting is a meeting where the leadership of a product, a group, an organization have an open discussion with their customer base, which makes it slightly worrying for some leaders, because we are going to stand in front of our public. But hold on, when you used to have town hall meetings physically in a room, well, weren't you doing the same thing? Of course you were. So what do we do in a town hall meeting? Well, I thought I knew, but then I thought maybe not everybody knows exactly what you do in a town hall meeting. I'm sure Juju does, and I'm sure Tony does. Welcome, guys. But for those of you that don't know what is going to be in a town hall meeting, we have the ultimate solution now, don't we? You ask AI, don't you? Of course, if you don't know what it is, you get one of your assistants to ask AI for you. So I thought, I'll ask AI as well. And I wrote a little prompt for AI. Let me show you what I did with my screen change here. So here we have my outline from AI for a Zoom community town hall meeting. I can tell you what I said to them. I said, I am running an office hour style town hall meeting for my Zoom users community. Please give me a welcome, a close, and between 6 slides to discuss things around using Zoom in open meetings. And this is what I got out. 8 slides, my beginning and my end at the bottom. And you can see it's given me a description of each one. So on slide 1, you can see here, that wasn't a very good box, but never mind. I've got a welcome. I've got some bullet points here for what to talk about. And then slide 2, again, I've got a set of information and slides. And again, slide 3, slide 4, slide 5, slide 6. And when I looked down the list, it was pretty close to my notes. Now, this, guys, is my mate, Zoom Mate. Zoom Mate has written these for me. This is my AI tool in Zoom. So, of course, I could take this outline of slides and then ask Zoom, hey, guys, can I have my slides? And this is what I got. If I maximize this so you can see it nicely. Oh, I can't. Okay. So you can see I've got my slides down the side here. Oh, I know, my little tools were running still. There we are. Let's maximize that. I've got my slides down the side here, all being built for me with some good features and functions. Now, you can see that my explanation of what I wanted is up here still. There it is. So that's what I asked. And then it's given me the content. Now, do you think this is good? I think it's reasonable, but I will give you a few little pointers of what is wrong about this approach. The first one is I've not explained very much about what I'm doing. And you will notice down here, I think I saw it. Yes, down here, it's remembered that we were recently celebrating 500,000 members in the Zoom community. And it has decided that I'm talking about that community. And so it's put a slide in about the Zoom community. Now, whether you think that is exactly into the remit that I gave it or not is a bit debatable, but it's a good description, a good suggestion. It's a good indication that when you are less exact in your prompt, you can't be surprised that Zoom comes along, as would any AI, and makes up something based on what it believes that you know. So the more precise you are, the more precise you're going to get these slides. But actually, these slides are quite good. So we've got an open mic, open room. I like that. We've got some graphics. This is, by the way, is in PowerPoint format, so I could load this into PowerPoint. It gives me a opening idea about the cameras and the mics, and then it works its way through. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually go through these slides and see if they work in real life. And if they don't worry, because I've got some notes on the side as well, which will allow me to talk to you. And of course, I'm doing this without me being on the screen. So I'm breaking one of my golden rules as we start. Of course, if I want to do this really show off mode, I can hit a slideshow button up the top here and we can run the slides like a slideshow. Let me clear my images. So here we are, open mic, open room. Let's think about this then. We are correct in what we're talking about here. an open mic and an open room. Because the first thing you've got to think about is, what are the rules? You're going to stand on stage and you're going to talk, or your leader's going to stand on stage and talk to everybody. And you need to know the rules of how everybody else can interact, because blocking them out from the conversation completely is a no-no, because the whole idea of this type of event is a conversation. So if you just talk to them, it's not really an office hours, it's a presentation. So at the beginning, you need to welcome everybody and you need to give them the rules. Now, you can have the rules as you like. I don't know. You could use the hand raised option for people to ask questions. You could ask people to put questions in the Q&A. You can answer questions as you go. You could make it clear that you're going to answer at the end. If you've got multiple sections in your presentation, you may decide that you're going to say, I'll answer 2 or 3 questions at the end of each section, and then any questions left over, we'll put some time to answer at the end. But you need to set your questions so people know what the rules are. Let's have a look at the next slide. The next slide explains what I said. Cool, huh? Me, ZoomMate, and AI have all agreed. You need some friendly ground rules for your meetings. If you don't, then how's everybody going to know what to do? And of course, I missed something out, of course. People can use reactions to support things that you say without interrupting the meeting. So that's one goal to ZoomMate, because I didn't think of that in my overview. The next thing is, there's 2 of us. There's just 2 of us. We've got all the social media going on. We've got all the screen sharing going on. There's only 2 of us. 2 people really isn't enough to run a open meeting. You want somebody to be able to deal with the talking and not to worry about what's going on over there, what's going on there. You don't want that. You want one person doing the presentation. You want somebody else doing the camera. Well, we've got that here, but then you need a 3rd person looking out for the socials. That means either Mike or I have got to double up, and that's not a good idea. I can see Mike through my secret camera to him, and I can tell that he's moving his eyes around a lot, which means I know he's looking at all the different things. But doing the job properly for a town hall meeting, you need multiple people. You probably need a 4th person to manage people coming in from the waiting room to the main room. Make sure they've got their cameras on or their cameras off as you like. Make sure their microphones are off as they always come in. Do that in the settings. Don't do it as they come in, but have somebody to organize the people coming in. Maybe some people bring their attendees into a waiting room, maybe even a breakout room, so they can speak with them before they join the main room. It's up to you, but manage your attendees in a orderly way so you have control. If you're going to bring some of them on stage, pin them. If you're going to finish what they're speaking, thank them politely and then take them off the stage. Unpin them. Don't leave them on the stage when they are finished their part, especially if you cut them off, because you don't want them waving their hands around on the stage if you've just cut them off because they went on and on. But of course, they won't go on and on if you give them a time limit for asking their questions. So they ask a question and not give a monologue before they ask the questions. And this is why you need to have that extra person to manage people, keeping open meetings secure. It is possible to control everything about the meeting. You can have everybody can be muted on entry. Everybody can be camera off on entry. You can get the host to be the leader and get everybody to follow the host. So they don't start going off and seeing what everybody else is doing. They are focusing on the person on the stage. And then if you want people to ask questions, you can bring them on the stage, or they can ask their questions from off stage. But whichever way you do it, make sure you're consistent, because if you're not consistent, the guys in your team will get confused, and so will your audience, and then that blows it for everybody. Did anyone know that the slides go off after a while? No, I didn't, but apparently they just did. So that's something new I've learned about Zoom slides today. Maybe I've got a new button that I don't know about. We'll have to have a look. This is a slide which doesn't make any sense whatsoever teaching people, but in a way it does, because what it does is I gave it only 6 slides to summarize everything. And so it's used this slide as its final slide to be a sort of summary of where you are. And I think this is quite a neat way of segueing into what my notes were saying, which is you need to have some objectives. You need objectives for your presentation. You need objectives for the audience. You need to know what objectives there were for the presentation so the audience feels they've accomplished something before the end of the meeting. Otherwise, people are going to wonder why you have done it. And I've only explained the slides, but I think the number of slides I gave would probably be enough for most town hall meetings. There's too many slides, gives too many issues, and loses people's focus on how to answer the questions. Now, 6 slides with 5 minutes in between should get you a good half hour. And I would say, if you're going to have an hour's town hall, I would say half an hour of slides is probably about right, because this is a town hall meeting. You are not here to tell people, you are here to suggest things and get feedback. That's what a town hall meeting is. So if you could get 50-50 of you and the audience, then I think you're doing a good town hall meeting. I've seen people brave enough to do 15 minutes and then have 3/4 of an hour of town hall questions. If people register for the event, then why not ask them to ask their question in the registration form? Because that way you've got some questions already. Because there are 2 things that we really hate about town halls. One is a town hall meeting when there's not enough time for everybody to ask their questions. And the other one is a town hall meeting where you don't have enough questions because nobody's brave enough to come to the stage and ask them. Either way, it's a bit of a worry. We want to be able to have some questions and fill up our time nicely. If people send in their questions in advance and you see certain questions have been asked in different ways, but multiple times, then that's obviously a subject people want to discuss. And our friend AI is good at this. I didn't write 50 questions in advance to test it. I'm sorry. Maybe I should have got one AI to write me some random questions and then done it. But I know, because I've done it for another group, if you get some questions in advance or some ideas in advance, what you can do is you can bundle them all up and give them to AI and ask the AI to match up common questions and common themes. Because as those that know me know, I always tell everybody, AI is a pattern matching system. So AI is a great way to pattern match all the questions you have and bundle them up into groups so that you can answer the types of questions asked rather than having to go through all the questions by hand and then saying, oh, I've answered that one already, or oh, this one's asked it a bit more deeply, I better add an extra thing. If your questions are similar, bundle them all up and process them that way. If you're going to use the Q&A or the chat, it's still possible to take the chat and save the chat during the conversation and then put that back into an AI and ask it to find all the questions, ask it to refer to the previous questions. AI is really good at organizing things like this. This is a good use of AI. But make sure you tell it to summarize the questions that it's got. Otherwise, it just might try and be too clever for its own good and make up some questions for you. Unless, of course, you're so sure that's what you're going to do. But I wouldn't recommend it. AI, though, is great at asking questions. So that's all you need to do. You need to decide before your town hall what the meeting is about. What are the goals of the meeting, and what goals are you bringing to the meeting? What things do you want to discuss? Have some Q&A so that you can discuss those goals with your audience. And if you have a registration in advance, you can get an idea of the questions before you start. You can find out who those people are that want to ask questions. And the new thing for this year is AI is really good at pattern matching. So grabbing the questions that you have in advance, grabbing the questions that come in through the chat at the beginning of the meeting, because you can ask people at the beginning of the meeting to put their questions in the chat, put it all into AI, get AI to organize it, is a really good way of making an organized meeting. And thank you, for your word of support about that. This is why you can't run a town hall meeting on your own. If you're doing the presenting, you can't be the one doing the AI organizing and the questions. You can't be the one controlling which camera is working and who's going to be brought to stage and things like that. So you need a team of 3 or 4 people to run this. Fortunately, we haven't had that many questions. So our team of 2 has managed to get through the main part of it. But Mike, have I missed any questions out of the corner of my eye that I should have addressed?
Hello, everybody. And I am
Hi,
hitting
Mike.
all the right buttons today. So that's good. And I'm not talking to the microphone and everybody goes, what did he say? No, you haven't missed any questions, John. But everybody is loving the content, and they're loving the ideas of you taking AI and actually sifting through the questions, as Erm was saying. So that was definitely good stuff to do that too.
Yeah, I found it surprisingly good at doing that. The only one I didn't have a success is I used it for a medical meeting, and it didn't work very well there because, of course, it didn't understand the medical terms and the phrases that were going on. But for the average meeting where people are asking about general things and it's not so specific, I think AI is a really neat way of doing it. And the fact that probably took 5 minutes for Zoom Mate to build those slides for me. And of course, I didn't do anything. I just went and made a cup of tea while it processed through and built the slides for me. So it wasn't exactly a lot of effort.
And I'm laughing because Tony has a question for you, John. Do you see Tony's question?
I do see Tony's question. Can I explain the process of the broadcast? Well, actually, the process of the broadcast is really simple, probably more simple than most people would think. We've got Mike on a camera. We've got me on a camera. But my camera is connected to a video switcher, an A10 video switcher, for those that know what that is. And so I can swap me for the screenshot of the computer back over there. Of course, I'm pointing back over there and you can't see me because I just replaced myself with a slide. So that wasn't too clever. But it's the one over there. And that computer is the one that I used to create the slides for me. And I have its third screen, because it's got 3 screens. I want its third screen shared through the same slot as my video. So I can go to my button here and I press that there. And if I can remember which button it is, I can also say, no, not that one. That one. That's it. I can say hello from that camera there because I plugged in that camera there today. The blank camera was because I didn't turn that one on. I didn't expect to use it. But there we are. So what I'm doing is I have screen shared the other machine, which is showing the slideshows from Zoom Slides. Previous meetings we've done, previous webinars we've done, I've been using PowerPoint on that same screen shared in the same way so that I can get my screen share from there. But of course, if I wanted to use more of Zoom's features in Production Studio, which is what we're using, I could have screen shared from here or from the other computer, and Mike would then be able to bring that screen share in as a separate item. So there's quite a few different variations and options here. I guess I could screen share the PowerPoint, but they would be the same slides. So you wouldn't have known the difference.
The only thing, John, is that you would be on camera. I could be also on camera, and the slide would be there. That would be the
Okay,
only
well,
extra difference.
I'll disappear for a second and I'll put that on a slide share so we can show the different ways of doing it, because it is a good question. So I'll flip over to this screen. And then
All right.
I'm on I'm on a sort of radio mic, really. I'm not really on a radio mic. I'm on a Wi-Fi mic, but it works the same. So if I go to
John,
this
you-
machine, which is in the meeting, I'm just checking, yes, it is in the meeting, and I'll say share, and I'll share exactly the same screen as I had, like that. So Mike will now be able to find that screen shared, and we'll be able to, I believe, make it available to everybody. I say I believe because, of course, I'm over here now, not over there, and I can't see what's going on over there.
It's okay. Everybody still sees me.
Oh, that's all right.
And I'm still working on making sure that John. Yeah. So right now I'm still not seeing your share, John.
Oh, you should do.
Oh, that's right. You might be. Are you coming in on a different machine?
I'm sharing from another computer, so that's probably confusing you, isn't it?
It is indeed. That's all right. I will get there.
Is that computer on stage, or is it sharing from behind stage? That's a good question.
Behind stage. Behind stage.
Okay. So it's about no good for anybody then, is it? So
No, that's fine.
Let's put this computer on the stage,
There you are.
and now I can share from stage.
Yep.
There we are.
That's better. And magic of television, everybody. There it is.
I can go back through the slideshow. There we are.
You're actually sharing your actual screen, John, not
Yeah.
the actual PowerPoint. Okay.
Correct. I'm actually sharing the screen that I've got the slides on. And I have got a little twiddly thing here so I can mark things.
Mm-hmm. And I will bring you in via that other camera that you got beside you. Continue.
So that's the slideshow program. And you can see that they've got the spec, I've got the notes behind, and those that are quick off the mark will say, John, aren't you sharing exactly what you shared just now? And the answer is yes, I am. Except this time I'm sharing it through a screen share, whereas the last time I was sharing it through the camera, which is why you couldn't get to see me in beautiful quadraphonic. I mean, I don't think I'd want to do it that quickly, but it literally took 4 minutes. It was 4 minutes and a few seconds to do these slides. I know that because I timed it. And if you want to be really imaginative or blow the minds of the audience, we said about taking the questions and organizing them in AI. If there's enough information, background information you could give your AI, you could get your AI to make some slides based on the most commonly asked questions. Wow. That would blow the socks off most people that I know if they had AI generated. You'd have to check the slides were right. You'd have to check the slides were in context. You'd have to check that the AI hasn't made up something, but that might be a empowering way of the main questions being asked in the group. Yes, I'm pushing the boundaries for you here. I'm pushing the boundaries for you because if you want successful town hall meetings, A successful town hall meetings is not you getting to the end of it without being caught out. A successful town hall meeting is you connecting with your audience and getting something of value back so that they feel that they have influenced and helped you in what you're doing and you have got some value back. There have been some really good companies doing town hall meetings who are software companies. In fact, a lot of Zoom's office hours presentations that the different teams in Zoom do are good examples of this as well. If you're a software company, you've got a product, it's got problems, it's got features, it's got things you want to change. I don't think that's any different to any other type of town hall meeting. But the ones that do well, the ones that feel good, the ones that, well, we've had ones where Mike and I have been asked back to speak to the team individually because we've given good feedback and advice about what we think could be improved about a product. If you're running a town hall meeting, you're getting that sort of positive feedback from people, then you're giving value to your customers, but your customers are giving value back to you because they're saying, oh yeah, would it be really good if you could do this, or you really could do that, or I find that this little bit of screen is confusing because of. It's invaluable advice. And if you learn from it and you're able to do things about it, it works really well. And what it does is it improves that relationship between you and your customers. It's just as easy as that. Okay, maybe it's not easy, but it works. And the fact that you can do it online is a really big difference from doing it face to face. Firstly, you haven't got them in your face. So that worry of it being confrontational is really stopped because they are only virtually in your face and you've got the control on when they can be seen, when they can be heard. Secondly, it's a lot harder to say in an open meeting, please write your questions and put them on a piece of paper and hand them in the front. But you can do that on an online meeting easily. You got Q&A, you got chat. If you don't want them chatting about themselves, you can limit the chat just to you and panelists so they can send their questions in. You can generate data far more easily and far quicker using an online tool than you ever can face-to-face. And as we've talked around the loop 3 or 4 times, using AI to reorganize the ideas and the questions afterwards is really cool. And don't forget, of course, that I've got that other little tool. I'm just trying to find it on the screen now. Yep, there it's running. I've got my little Zoom notes running. And at the end of every meeting I attend, unless they block it, which very, very rarely ever happens, but at the end of every meeting, my little guy is going to have processed listening to the meeting and will give me a set of notes about the meeting afterwards. So I've got plenty of feedback, things that I can then use to make the next meeting. In fact, one of the neat things you can do with Zoom AI is when you get a note from a presentation or a seminar or a meeting, you can then ask Zoom Mate to turn it into an agenda of things to bring up at your next meeting. So if you get all this office hours information during your office hours session, you could then turn that into a meeting that you can hand to your team. So your team can now look at the questions that are asked and come back with the answers. And frankly, I think that's a pretty good way of running a business. Mike, any more comments about things? I don't really want to change desks now because I've got some shorts because it's jolly hot in here. And I don't really want to show my legs off to the internet.
Well, if you give me a heads up, I will make sure that you're not on camera as you move.
Well, I can always go one better than that. And I can say, I'm going to go to the other desk now. And we'll see if there's any final questions.
Okay.
And I can turn the camera off on the way as well. Because it's not that
Yes,
I
you
don't trust
can.
Mike, it's just that I know him. So there we are.
There he is,
It
everybody.
really is that easy. So we're getting to the end of the whole presentation, and we want some final type follow-up type questions.
Yeah.
And
I've
Juju
got
came
one.
up with a really good one.
Yeah. And Erm's got one actually just before that as well, which is,
Oh, yes.
is that something that you'll put in the show notes, slides, or summary of? Great template to have. And that was related to what you were discussing a little while ago, I believe what Erm was talking about.
I will probably do a more detailed video about this, because I did this about 2 hours ago, and I wasn't sure how good it was going to be, because let's just say I don't like to promise anything that AI can do until I've done it with AI, because yeah, it's sometimes helpful and sometimes it gets ideas and goes off. And I gave it a really, really quick and easy command, which I was almost regretting when I hit return, because it was so short that I wondered if it would keep on subject or wander off. But that's a good idea. Do a presentation, and actually I'll do a recording of actually what I did. I'll do another example, but I'll do it live and I'll record it and I'll put it out so you can see exactly how it worked.
And John, just wanted to give you a heads up too, that because you did not, when you did you share for us and you shared screen, it actually did not show the actual Zoom interface. So again, that's important to teach everybody.
Yes. And it's the funniest thing about Zoom, just as a little sideways comment, that when you're trying to show off things in Zoom, everybody else, all you guys out there, 99% of people who are doing things don't want Zoom boxes in the way. And of course, when we're demonstrating stuff, we do. So yeah, I've even got things on Zoom that I've told it to show and it still doesn't show, which is hilarious. But yes, that's a good point.
So the
What's the
next one
difference
would be
between
to answer, yeah,
broadcast
that's
and
it.
podcasts?
Broadcast and podcasts.
That's a great question. Do you know what the answer is? There's nothing different between them. A podcast started off as a audio conversation. So a podcast was really just an online radio show. But because we like having names for stuff in the technical world, we started calling it a podcast. And now we got video podcasts. What's the difference between a podcast and a broadcast? Not a lot, really. A broadcast is a broadcast. A broadcast could be broadcasting a discussion program, and that is, to me, is a podcast. So I think it's just down to what label you find will connect with your audience. Mike, is that a good answer? Good enough answer?
Yeah. And I just wanted to let everybody know the infamous pod came from our infamous iPods. If we remember that wonderful technology way back in the day, which was strictly audio. So it was iPod. So that's the podcast. Now, yes. So now they go video podcast. So it's actually video on an audio podcast. And so what's the difference between a video podcast and a YouTube video? Nothing. Now, again, where the differences can be is that podcasts are more in the video world. That would be more video on demand, which would be that John put up a video clip on the YouTube channel, and that is now a video. So that in theory is also a podcast. Also in the real world of the new world of video podcast. So that's where all of this gets a bit messy. And of course, broadcast is more live. They don't usually use videos like video clips as broadcast. They don't put those two together. That would be, I use the broadcast terminology for that, which is video on demand. So broadcast is usually, in the true broadcast world, it's live, and they will use VOD or video on demand for their archives, or equivalent to what we watch on YouTube as a video, or even if you watch us live or watch the archive of us live, that would be in the broadcast world, video on demand.
Except, of course, that there are a few companies out there will totally disagree with Mike because they've built podcast systems and they have built podcast apps. So they'll disregard what Mike said and they'll just say the podcast app is where you come and watch and listen to our podcast. They've built their world around it. But as you said, the delivery is still the same. It's just the way they've packaged it up. And I see another question come on, which I love this one. Everybody, watch Mike's reaction. I've been asked, did Zoom give you a Zoom Community Super Champion t-shirt? And the answer is, I've got 2. They don't know that, but I got 1. And then they sent out another batch and I got 2, which is great because I can have 1 in the wash and one ready. So they're very good quality as well. They're good quality ones. And the reason I'm saying you should look at Mike's face is because he had a bit of difficulty getting hold of his because they were out of stock when he joined our gallant band and he had trouble getting hold of one.
But that's been rectified. But
But
John
you're not
was the
wearing
lucky
it,
one
so
too.
no wonder
That's true.
took so long.
That's true. And on top of that too, I ended up with a t-shirt where John is super and he ended up with a polo, everybody.
Yeah, two polo shirts.
2
The
polos.
t-shirt's quite good, but the t-shirt does wear
Excellent.
out. Actually, I think that's how I got a second one because I did say the t-shirt. Because I think I washed the t-shirt. I think it was about 6 or 7 washes in, and I was starting to worry that it was not going to survive
Shrinking.
much longer. So I made the comment,
Oh.
and somebody doubled my order, sent me another one. So when we say we're not sponsored by Zoom, that's not totally true. We do get a bit of swag, but it's not really, it's not really like real hard cash. But it's at least it's some recognition, and that, my friends, is really what it's all about. And that's what, beautifully bringing us back to the subject matter, answering people's questions, following up on the questions, summarizing the questions, reporting on the questions after. That is the same feedback loop you want with your town halls. Because I'm trying not to get into politics here, but if you have a meeting and people ask questions, and the next month you have another meeting and nothing about the previous questions has been addressed, you're not going to get into a good loop of success with your town halls. Whereas if you do a town hall, and at the start of the next town hall, you can give an update on the main questions that were asked, the ones that you said that you would do something about, and give an update on what's going on. Even if they've not been fixed, if there's been progress made, that's a good enough start. Mike, we can't expect everybody to fix something in a month because a month isn't long for a lot of technologies and a lot of businesses, but a month is long enough for you to make some progress, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. But again, it's very, it's not trying to think of the right word. But when it comes to if you should keep your promises. Again, if you're going to, if you say that, yes, I'll make sure that if anybody had any questions that we did not get to, that we'll send you information within 24, 48 hours. And then you don't. And John's laughing already because he's been at how many dozen of events, John? Thousands that they don't do it.
Let's just say that it's really bad thing. And yes, I have seen many people, many organizations completely fail to follow up on questions. And it's not difficult to, because there's a setting in Zoom meetings to automatically record all the chat for you afterwards. If you've got the option running, you can go up to the 3 little dots above the chat and you can save the chat yourself. Even if you're not the host, quite often you're left with the permission to be able to do that. So it's not difficult to keep the chat. The Q&A is stored automatically anyhow, so there's no excuse really to say, oh, you lost your questions. Even Zoom's registration form allows you to add a box to put questions in. So if you don't follow up on the questions, then you're just going to look more and more stupid. I use the word stupid, and it might sound a bit strong, but it's better than being a liar or ignoring people. I don't know. Maybe it isn't, but it doesn't matter which one. If you say you're going to follow up on questions and you don't follow up on questions, then you're just giving away the faith people had in you, and you're making your organization look bad. And it's really just not a good thing to do. If you can't deal with all the questions, you're better to be honest and say, look, we can't. If you can only deal with 5 things, or you've set your team a goal of sorting out 5 things, then just choose the 5 most popular. In Zoom, if you have open questions in Zoom Q&A, you can actually get people to upvote the question that they most support. Find out what the most common questions are. As a lot of people will say, it's not always the person that's the loudest that has the biggest problem. It could be a lot of people have got a smaller problem, but they're just not so forward in making a noise about the issue they want fixed. And through my head now are a load of things happening in UK politics, and I'm sure anywhere else in the world, where the people who are making the most noise are the ones that are getting addressed, whereas issues which perhaps would be more important to more people are not. And if you're running an office hours and asking questions, you've got to decide which are the questions that you're going to follow up and fix, and then politely find a way to excuse yourself for not doing the rest. So whether you support the person who makes the most noise or the most people that ask about a specific question is going to be totally up to your tactics. I just had a quick look and I can't see any more questions unless Mike's answered all of them and pushed them off the list for me.
No. Just checking, make sure my audio's on. No, we're up to date, and I'm actually asking the community if they want to ask us any other questions before we wrap up this week. But yeah, absolutely. Let me know in chat. And also, our webinar people, let me know in chat.
And of course, the other thing I wanted to check was, because we had this not working before, and it is set. So if you've got chat in your audience, then make sure your chat's turned on. Now, we've got it limited to hosts and panelists, so our audience can't chat with each other, but they should be able to chat with us. And of course, this production studio program doesn't always get all the emojis appearing on the screen. So if the audience go through emojis and responses, you won't see them on the recording or the YouTube. So again, I suppose the last thing that I haven't gone through in my list of things that Zoom AI didn't put into the list of slides is practice. And I don't mean 2 minutes before making sure your slides work and your microphone works. I mean practice office hours before you do your office hours. Do it a week before. I'm pretty sure that most politicians do this sort of thing. And they'll even have practice questions to try and work on so that they don't feel so overwhelmed or under pressure when the questions come in. Some people would say, get a nice easy question in at the beginning so that your leader gets something nice and easy to answer and get them going and get them in the flow. And I would certainly suggest practice before. Practice how the system works. Because once somebody on stage is talking like I am, then the ways you can communicate to them decrease. And the more they concentrate on looking in the camera and connecting with their audience, then the harder it is for them to see notes to the side, people waving at them, somebody standing behind the camera. All these things get harder once you start focusing on the camera. And the worst thing is, if you start focusing on the showrunner or whoever's controlling the studio and you start looking at them all the time, then you've just lost your connection with the audience because you're not looking at your audience. And if you start looking at the corner of your eye and things, then you've just lost connection with the audience. So what I try and do is, if I do need to look at something else, I try to do it as if I'm thinking. And I'm not thinking, I'm just seeing Roland is in the attendees, and then I'm looking up again. So that's the way that I do it. And I have the advantage or disadvantage, depending on which way you think of it, of having a teleprompter in front of my camera. So at least I can put something on the screen in front of the camera, and that gives me some sort of reference. Otherwise, I would practice, number one. And then the next thing that I had on my list was start early. What I mean by that is open the meeting floor, open the webinar, whatever it is, open it 10 to 15 minutes early. Gives you a chance to check things. Of course, if you have Zoom and you're doing a Zoom Webinar Plus type event, you can open it 15 to 20 minutes early and allow your staff and your speaker to come on stage, make sure they're happy with the system, that it's working, that lights are all making them look good and they can see in the camera, whatever you want on the teleprompter is where it should be, etc. And then once they're happy, maybe 10 minutes after that, open up the room and let the people come in. Put some music on. Zoom's got some copyright-free music you can put in the background. You can go to products like Suno, like as we did, and get them to write you a theme tune. But if you were doing it physical space, you wouldn't leave the doors locked until bang on the hour and then open it and then start the presentation, because they'd all have to get in and sit down. So do the virtual combination of the same thing. And then they've all settled down, Mike, and they're all ready for whatever you're going to give them.
Exactly. And that is actually one of the biggest things. And I've been actually at a trade show today, as a matter of fact, and 3 times they opened it 1 minute beforehand and started the actual webinar 1 minute after the hour. And I'm like, really? Okay. Well, I guess they opened it a minute early, John. Yay. Fantastic. But Tony's actually got a question for you, sir.
Okay.
How do you collect and manage feedback after a town hall?
Well, Zoom has its own system, surveys. So you can write a survey and put that into Zoom, and Zoom will run it for you. If you've got your own survey system, and by the way, this was a really good question. If you've got your own survey system, you can get Zoom to link to that instead. And so what happened is when they leave or you close the webinar, they will be prompted. They'll get a little box prompting them to go and do the survey or open your page to do your survey. Very good question. So that's quite easy to do as long as you remember to set it up in Zoom. And they are called surveys, not polls. They're called surveys. But they work in a similar way. You ask questions and people can put your answers in the boxes.
Yeah, and again, if you have them, John, too, correct me if I'm wrong, but again, if you give them more of the filling the information as compared to have it be yes or no's or anything specific, they can be very, depending on how many words or characters you allow in the box. That can be all configured.
Yeah. And if you don't find that running the surveys in Zoom is the way you want it to, because you've got your own platform, then you can link to the platform as well.
Right.
I can think of an event where we do that. Yeah. We've got an event and we do that because that particular person does all their surveys and questionnaires in something called Gravity Forms, which is part of WordPress. And because she does all other questions, it makes sense for her and for her audience that the survey questionnaire at the end of the webinar works exactly the same way, so they know what it is. The other neat way of doing the neat vote for doing the external one is that when you do a follow-up email, although you can get people to go back to the Zoom survey, but it's harder, but a lot of people perhaps have the questionnaire on their website, and that means that people can go back to it afterwards. Ooh. And I've even known people put bribes into the filling out of the survey. Now, it depends on what you are and what you're doing and whatever. Maybe not for a office hours type meeting, but I know in other meetings we've had people who've said you don't get access to the recording unless you fill in the survey. And that's quite neat if you only want people who are part of who turned up to the meeting to actually get the recording. Because again, it's another reason for people to turn up. Therefore, using the recording as a way to get people to attend the meeting rather than to be an excuse for people who can't be bothered to turn up to the meeting to watch the recording instead. Not so applicable for office hours, but it does work well. Surveys are a good way of getting feedback because especially if they do the feedback immediately the meeting or event is finished, because they'll be in the moment and therefore you'll get better answers. Great question.
All right. Yeah. If we have any other questions from YouTube or from our webinar, let me know in chat, in webinar, and let me know in YouTube chat as well. And I'll relate to John and I here live.
Well, when we say live, we're about 2 seconds behind, according to watching YouTube. Oh, no, it could be 4 or 5 seconds behind, but nearly live. As live as the tech can get it across the internet.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I was actually at a webinar today that was actually talking about latency, and it was all the wonderful things of making sure that streaming latency is reduced as much as possible for interactivity type situations.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's no good if you ask it, and you've got to be wary of that, because if you ask a question and it takes 25 seconds for YouTube to actually have you asking that question, there's a 25-second lag then between you physically asking the question and the question getting out to the YouTube audience. Then you've got to add the 10, 15, 20 seconds to allow the audience to answer that question. So you could easily be in a situation where you ask a question and you need to effectively fill in for a minute, because that's how long it would take for YouTube to bring you back an answer, which of course is why running a office hours type scenario where it's a Q&A type scenario is much more sensible if you can get them all to come into your Zoom meeting, because the Zoom questions we're getting literally as they hit the return key, whereas the YouTube ones are taking 20, 25 seconds for us to complete the loop. And so you get good at waffling in the middle of the subject, like I just did there, waiting for the questions to come. And then they don't. And you feel that your audience has run out of things to ask. But that's fine, because we wanted to do this in an hour. And we've done it in 56 minutes, according to my calculations. So that's good. Well, I think we have to close this now and just have a little matter of the theme tune. And you never know. Somebody tells me on YouTube that if I get this under an hour, people watch it more than if it's an hour and 1 minute. Well, we'll see if the theme tune finishes in time. And if not, I'll probably have to edit the whole thing down. Thank you, for your lovely words. Sorry it took me a few seconds to get around to it, but remember, ask me a question. It's then, even if I saw it at the corner of my eyes, I did just then, and answer it immediately, it's going to take 20 odd seconds before knows that I answered the question and it comes back out of YouTube. So this delay, this latency of the delay for going live can be a problem. But also it does give Mike a chance to sort out the next slide, which is our closing little piece of music. So
I have
thank you
done
very much for
indeed.
being here. Thank you. Thank you for you, Mike, for getting that ready and all the other things you've done. Thank you to our wonderful audience who've turned up and asked the questions. And thank you for you watching it as a replay. But he'll say it better than I do. So over to you, Mike.
Of course, as John wants me to say, and of course, as a regular YouTube influencer would normally say, thanks everyone for joining us this week on the Lord Zoom Live. Oh, great topics. Thanks, Juju. Thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. I see at least one person has liked us. I hope to see a few more before the end of the show. And don't forget of course, if you subscribe, like and subscribe, of course, that lets YouTube know as well as Zoom know how much you love our content. And don't forget, we're here every week at, and I'm going to do it my best here, John, 3 p.m. Eastern. Yes, 12 p.m. Pacific. And check your local time zones to match up with all that. Thank you, Ern. And see everyone next week for another edition of Lord Zoom Live. Take care, everyone. Have a great week.
Every week we open wide the virtual stage where ideas spark and wisdom fills the page. From the UK to the land of maple trees, John and Mike bring clarity with ease. We're building meetings, webinars with might, helping you shine your message, taking flight. Whether you're new or you've done this before, Lord Zoom Live will help you do much more. We're building meetings, webinars with might, helping you shine your message, taking flight. Whether you're new or you've done this before, Lord Zoom Live will help you do much more. Thank you for joining us, we're glad you're here. Together we grow, it's loud and clear. On Zoom we connect, we learn, we grow. Welcome my friend, enjoy the show. From big events to breakout rooms with flair, we've got the tools and we're ready to share. Guest experts drop in, bringing gold each time, with insights and tricks to help you climb. Can't make it live, we've got you still. On YouTube and LinkedIn, we're giving that thrill. So tune in later or catch us next round. Either way, your success is where we're bound. Thank you for joining us, we're glad you're here. Together we grow, it's loud and clear. On Zoom we connect, we learn, we glow. Welcome my friend, enjoy the show. And make it live, we've got you still. On YouTube and LinkedIn, we're giving that thrill. So tune in later or catch us next round. Either way, your success is where we're bound. Now take the spotlight, the stage is yours. Bring your message through virtual doors. Each week we gather, and now you know you're not alone, so let it flow. Thank you for joining us, now go and shine. Share what you've learned, your voice, your time. With Lord Zoom Live, your power will grow. It's time to build your own show.